Okay, some more Luke Skywalker. We looked at the vintage. Now we're moving on. This is Power of the Force 2. And there was a lot of these versions of Luke. Tons of them. Then there were exclusives, and there were some that come with multi-packs and play sets and things. And I don't have them all. I'm not even going to try to dig them out. I think I've got more than you see here. I've got some over in some boxes. I'm just not going to mess with it. We have some big problems here. Lou Ferrigno posed for this. I don't know actually where they came up with the idea that Mark Hamill was a bodybuilder. It's very frustrating. But I don't know. It's the worst action figure I've ever seen. It's right up there with Lando from Power of the Force 2 with the six-pack sticking through his skin-tight shirt. He's got his pecs hanging out the top of his shirt. That's not Luke Skywalker. It's not him. And the face looks horrid. Looks like a gorilla. Really, they dropped the ball with Luke. I went a long time without buying him because I thought he looked so stupid, but someone was selling him for $25 at a garage sale, so I got him just for this video to show you how bad he looks. Unfortunately, I did buy this one because I wanted to use my Yoda backpack. This is Dagobah training Luke, still the bodybuilder bullcrap with the same sculpted head. And look at their feet, how wide you have to separate their feet to get them to stand. That's dumb. Now this one's better. He's still got the same face. He's a little bit hunched over. He's a little bit too bulked up, but because he's wearing black, he's a little sleeker. He's got the glove on his hand. And look at those boots. Is he going to the disco hall? I mean, that's a little bit of a high heel on there, buddy. But he comes with a black cloak that's rubber. It stands on its own. I guess it's like a cloak of death. Ooh. They all really stink really bad. I disapprove of all of them, especially now that we have more options. Shadows of the Empire, though, coming out at the same time, this is one of my favorite action figures from the 90s. This is Luke in the Imperial security officer disguise. Well, basically what happens in the book is that Luke and everyone, they have to infiltrate Coruscant, so they have to disguise themselves, and since they've already done disguising themselves as stormtroopers, they had to disguise themselves as something different. I love the design of this character. Look at him. He's got like turbo boots, just everything. Look at these really cool shoulder pads that stick way up. The helmet is designed really well. I mean, that's an excellent design. And he looks really tough. So you don't even have to pretend that there's a Luke under there. He's got that same dopey gorilla head. But just stick that on there, and you could put a lightsaber in his hand and have him fight. You know, you could have him fight all kinds of people. He'd make a really good video game villain. Shadows of the Empire. Excellent figure. Now what you see before you here, all of these came out in 1997, and they're all different. For some reason, Luke in Hoth gear was really big, which is sad because in the vintage collection that we have now, there's no Luke in Hoth gear, and I want a new one. Let's take a look at where these things started diverging. What happens here is you see he's got bendable waist and movable legs, but not bendable knees. The detail on him is pretty good in comparison to the old one. I would say it's an improvement. He looks quite good. He's still got the scarf. He's got the goggles on top of his head. A really nice figure. I like it. One that's worth buying. This was Power of the Force 2, I think. Then they come out with pretty much the exact same figure. And this one has a damaged face where the Wampa hit him. And his arm is a little bit different. But overall, these two are the same figure. But then they started coming out with different versions of Tauntauns. And they didn't have the version of the old type of Tauntaun where you put the person's legs inside the beast. They actually sit over top of the beast. So they gave him bendable legs. But from the torso up, he's the same figure. as this original one. So it's funny. And then this one is different as well, but he also has bendable legs. But he's a variation of this one. So I mean, there's tons of these Lukes in Hoth gear. You can get one. You can get these things anywhere you want. They're just growing off trees. Well, things started getting better with a series known as Power of the Jedi, which the Power of the Force 2 figures had these, you know, real bulky Lukes. They started to slim him down. You see, he's a little bit more proportional. But overall, it's pretty good. What they've done here is he's got a plastic upper torso, but like a rubber continuation of his shirt, so that you can bend his legs straight if you want. So that's cool. And the detail on him is pretty good. There's not much detail you can do on a farm Luke. This is a Bespin dual Luke, which has really good detail, looks alright, face is okay, and he has a removable hand, which is a novelty for the time. They didn't have those, you know, the super articulated ones we have now. Everything is removable, but back then, you know, like this hand doesn't come off. So to be able to rip his arm off, that's pretty neat. The original trilogy collection, I did a whole review of Dagobah Lukes, but this one I really liked a lot. I thought the detail on him was good. A little scrawny, but it does look like Mark Hamill. He's got mud on his face. Now we're starting to get into the late 2000s. This fine fellow is Luke in his Hoth snowspeeder gear. Removable helmet. His face looks really surprised, but if you put the helmet on him, you can see he has a chin strap on the helmet, and the goggles are clear, so you can see his eyes still. I don't need to go into, you know, counting all the points of articulation. He is fully up to the quality of things you would expect nowadays. He's got the harness around his legs, which makes mobility a little difficult, but he's got all the mobility you could ever want in an action figure, and the detail is perfect. So you need this guy for your snowspeeder, and I think they're in stores now. They've re-released him, so it could still be in stores now. This one came in the Battle for Endor battle pack with the hang glider Ewok. So here we have another version of the Poncho Luke. Remember that old thing? Well, this version is much better. Not only does he have super articulation all over his whole body, and a workable holster, and a belt, and but his cloak is much better. The detail on his face is much better, and he has a removable helmet. Finally. So there you go. Put him on a speeder bike, have him duel. A really good figure, worth buying the battle pack for. I don't know if he was ever released solo though, on his own. And this is the newest version of Luke. Bespin Luke from the Vintage Collection. A really good figure. I hope you guys go out and buy him. You can put his lightsaber on his belt. He has a working holster, a ball jointed waist. Of course, you can take his hand off, like you can all these super articulated things. The detail on him is what is really impressive with me. Wrinkles in his shirt, a real dirty look to it. This is almost, I would say, movie accurate. And the face looks pretty good too. I like this figure a lot. Well, we've looked through the history of Luke Skywalker. He's been through a lot, and there are so many out there that you could buy 100 of them and not be done. So maybe this video gave you some ideas of where to look, which ones are successes, which ones are failures, and what to watch out for when you're collecting. Thanks.
Let's do it tomorrow. There is no tomorrow. There is no tomorrow.